Hi, Sword Dude and Dudette. We are going to be talking about sword repair today. I was speaking with my good friend Rapier's Delight. If you haven't checked out his channel already, please go ahead and give it a check out, especially if you like antique swords. He has wonderful discussions about examples that he has, and if you're into collecting antiques, that's a really good place to get some good ideas as to how to go about starting your antique collection and looking at some really cool swords from history. Anyway, he and I were talking about repairing swords that have these wire grip wraps on them, and I had been sent this sword from sword maker LK Chen. This is the US 1860 light cavalry saber, and when it was originally sent to me, I got this as a sample, but it was sent in part because the grip wrap had broken. So the wire brass wrap here had snapped and had come off, and it was just not in a usable state. And I've had a limited experience working on repairing it before. Now you can see it's all nice and put together now, and when I originally had it, the intention was I was going to film myself going through the process on how you would repair the grip wrap here. And it was a little bit more complex than I had originally intended to do. I did film it, and I put that footage away, and I never released it. However, today I'm going to release it in full. It's long, it's, roughly 30 minutes, and it's not very well shot, which is why it never got released before. So at the end of my talking here, if you are into that sort of thing, I'm going to have the whole thing released in its uncut sample for those who are really into the nitty-gritty and seeing someone struggle to replace something like this. For those who aren't, I'm going to discuss kind of the overview over how this got put together, and for those who are really interested for that sort of thing, this will be maybe the first and extra bonus content for the channel. Maybe we should set up a Patreon for for all this bonus only sword content. But essentially, when it came to me, I wanted to see how much could be salvaged, because we had a lot of brass wrap. I needed to see if I had to completely take apart the grip, needed to see if we could salvage the leather of the actual material that was covering the undercore. In this case, the undercore is, there may be some wood there, but it's kind of a synthetic plastic that actually forms the shape of the grip here. I didn't know that at the time. And let's see if we can show you how it seats. So under the pommel cap area here, we have the terminus, the first terminus of the wire seated underneath the pommel. So since that was still well attached and seated, I figured I'd try and work with it and see if I could maintain as much of the original wire as possible. It had snapped at the far end. It was attached, as the originals are, via a brass pin after it's inserted directly into through the leather. So there's an insertion point. It's pounded into the wood core through the leather, and then hammered in with a brass nail, or a brass tack, essentially. So I took a look at where it had snapped. It had snapped not at either of those points, which is a little unusual, because you'd normally expect at one of the insertion points where the wire is bent and hardened to be a stressor point. Neither of those places is where it snapped, so it snapped somewhere a little further down. And after looking at it and measuring it out, I figured that I'd be able to conserve everything and be able to keep it in its original configuration up until basically the very last loop. And that's what I did. So by the time we get into the footage, what you'll see is I've gone and rewrapped the original wire in the original tracks, because it's too tight for me to move now, but even once the wire was released and expanded from its original configuration, you could still see the impressions in the leather of where it was supposed to be. It left tracks and marks in it. So I was able to put it back into that position. And then when I got to the end of where my length of wire was, I had to decide where it was going to go back in. And I decided it was going to be basically on the finger side rather than the thumb side of the grip. And I was looking for a couple places to do an insertion point. So that's kind of where the footage is going to pick back up. I've had all the wire wrapped back into position, and then I've put a series of rubber clamps on it to hold it in place. And then I'm working at doing the reinsertion, and I'm using a whole bunch of little tools. I have a little pen, little thumb drill that I use for various types of fine modeling. I have a very useful set of medical hemostat, kind of like alligator tooth clamps that I can use to reposition things. And the intention was to drill a hole all the way through the core, bend the wire at an angle, apply a little bit of glue. In this case, I was just using fast-acting super glue to the end of the wire, and then insert it and hold it in position until it's set, and then have everything released. How well did that go? You'll have to watch yourself to see, but the end result is it's held on very well. I think that on the whole, it's done pretty good. I don't know that I'm ready to set up as a forbisher, as a hilt fitter for a sword shop, but this is one approach, and most of the reason that I'm releasing this at all is there's a paucity for this type of material online. So if someone else has a broken wire and wants some idea of what to do, this is one person's struggling and failing attempt at how to do that type of repair on their sword. And so I am releasing it in full, showing all of the pitfalls and struggling and swearing. So if you want to see what it looks like, I will release it without basically any additional commentary from me. So I'll just put on my favorite sort of tunes, and everyone can sit back, relax, and watch about 30 minutes of me struggling to put this wire into place. Enjoy, everyone. Until next time. Hmm.